Kristen Hawkins. Welcome to this new episode of the Explicitly Pro-Life podcast. I am actually in Naples, Florida, using the facilities at Community Pregnancy Clinics, which is one of the premier pregnancy health organizations in the country. I'm here for a few weeks recording some episodes. So we thought it was a good idea to have Scott Baier, who is the new CEO as of last June of Community Pregnancy Clinics, to come on. You all might remember last year I interviewed your predecessor, Gary Ingold, about the CPCI model, and the success that you all have had across Florida. But I wanted you to come on to kind of give us an update. Scott, you kind of came to the pregnancy center world from Army, seminary, and then Catholic education. So I think it's good for folks who are listening and watching to kind of hear your background, how you got to this, because they kind of look at you and like, why? You're like, you're super political. We were like talking, we got to get into some politics here, hopefully. So you don't strike me as a typical pregnancy center director. So I think it would be really great for people to hear your story before I start asking you lots of questions about what's happening at CPCI, what you see on the future for a post-Roe America for the pregnancy health movement.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you, Kristen. You're such a prolific figure in the pro-life movement. This is quite an honor. So thank you for that. But in a nutshell, my background, I started after a kind of neo-pagan existence in college, right?
Neo-pagan existence.
Neo-pagan. But then the Army kind of woke me up a little bit to the realities of I'll say, evil in the world. And so I spent my last 5 months in a place called Bosnia. Never had to serve in a war. I'm grateful for that. But I saw the effects of war after it. And, one of the connections I make to the pro-life movement is, when you see people who are in a war-torn world, the look in their eyes is trauma, it's empty, it's devastation, similar to the look in the eyes that I see in front of Planned Parenthood when they go in, but even more so when they come out. When these women come out of Planned Parenthood, it's the same look that I saw in Bosnia. And then the seminary, kind of got me woken up to, okay, what am I going to do with my life and what's my mission? And how does God, want me to serve him? And I thought that was going to be federal level law enforcement for a while. And then until a priest said, have you ever
want to be a Walker, Texas Ranger?
there was a moment. I love Chuck Norris, by the way. I could come up with a lot of Chuck Norris jokes. But anyway, so in the seminary, it was a priest who said, have you ever thought about being a priest? And I said, yeah, I've thought about it. And he's like, everybody's thought about it. What have you done about it? So I spent the next 3 or 4 years discerning. And I realized now that I had a vocation to the seminary. I have a wife and 5 kids. They're all beautiful. So my vocation was a little different, but God used that time. And then another Catholic priest said to me, hey, we can use some good men in our schools if you're not going to be a priest. And so I started for 23 years. I was in Catholic education, teacher, dean of students, and in the last 5 years as principal of an independent Catholic school here locally in Naples. And then from there, I said a prayer, right? And the prayer was, Lord, if you have something else for me, let me know, because I'm ready to kind of expand or do something else. I felt a call. And lo and behold, CPCI was on the horizon. Gary, Deacon Gary Ingold, was transitioning to our foundation, which he's still at now. And my wife said, you've got to take a look at this. And then about 3 months later, I was signing a piece of paper that said I was going to be the CEO of CPCI, of Community Pregnancy Clinics.
I love it. And I think it's great you have all of this experience that you're bringing into this world of pregnancy help organizations that you have a lot of experience that I think a lot of folks who rise up as directors just simply don't have.
Well, I was going to say the mission of our Catholic school, the main part of it was to educate the heart. CPCI's mission talks about revealing the heart's voice, right? So working with families, and I really think the end of abortion is not going to be political. That's going to help, right? It's going to be a heart issue, right? That longest journey from the head to the heart, that 12 inches. And so it's a hard issue, and families are, as John Paul II said, the future of humanity passes through the family. So I see it as a continuation of my work as an educator.
Yeah, I I normally don't ask people about their background. I always
Okay.
have,
Well, thank you for
a bunch
that.
of questions, but I thought it was really interesting your kind of journey here,
Sure.
because I don't think when people, we were in a meeting with pregnancy center directors, pregnancy help organizations, and there was a lot of older ladies, and then there was you. So you kind of stand out.
I stand out. I'm 6'5", so that also helps. But no, it is. I think, again, with my Army background, with intelligence and knowing your enemy and kind of knowing what are we up against here, and taking it to where the women are rather than waiting for them to come to us, I think is a huge part of what I want to do.
Well, that's a great transition. Okay. Because you're taking it to where they are.
Yeah.
So one thing that Gary and I spoke about last year that I really wanted, hopefully that we can expand upon this conversation, is where do you think we need to be as a movement as we prepare for a post-Roe America? I mean, I probably said it at least a dozen times on this podcast about the challenge we have of people not knowing who we are, through our Abortion-Free Cities program. 80% of the people we knock on the doors of in communities, that neighborhoods that are literally surrounding an abortion facility and a pregnancy center, don't know the pregnancy center exists. Yeah. So, I mean, we have a lot of work to do. So where do you see kind of the future of our movement, of the pregnancy help organization movement? Yeah. Where do we need to go? Like, what are your words of wisdom you want to share with us?
Well, again, I'm not an expert yet. I'm kind of new into the world. But
I like that. That's actually what I like, because you're coming in from the outside and you're seeing it from a different perspective. Yeah. So I think you might have a different perspective than others of us might have.
Thank you. Yeah. I would say the word that jumps out is technology, right? So the old model, and I was always, aware of the pro-life movement, and I would spend time in front of Planned Parenthood. And let me tell you, they're like the warriors that are out in front of those Planned Parenthoods. We thank you. We can't do it without you.
There was a gentleman the other day I saw had a windbreaker on. It was like this bright orange windbreaker, and I was like, so you were probably a prayer warrior from a Planned Parenthood. He was like, how did you know? I was like, you're a windbreaker. Yeah. And he was like, oh yeah, that's right. I wear it all the time.
No, there's something.
They're amazing.
They're amazing people, and we need them. But that's, I would say, in as we go to the future, that's the old model, right? Planned Parenthood knows their market. Yeah. And they're going to their market before they ever show up at a Planned Parenthood. Okay. Right? So, on technology side, where are women going when they're looking or debating whether they should have an abortion? They're going to their phones. Right. Okay. So topics that I'm learning all about, and we have consultants that we're investing in, how do we get our website to be organic search marketing proof, right? So organic means that someone searches for a keyword, and then they find you that way, right? As opposed to paid advertising. So 70% of all clicks right now on the internet are organic search, right? So if you're not in that market, if you're not changing your keywords on your websites, if you're not keeping your posts current, right? There's like 10 things that you can do on your websites to make sure that you're found before Planned Parenthood. So this is a world
make sure your site isn't loading too long.
Well,
there was a big fight at Students for Life about my beautiful map. If you go to Students for Life's website, we have a beautiful new map. Yeah. But there's like over 1,300 pins, and there was like this whole fight about there's too many pins and the load time will take too long for the search engine optimist, the SEO experts. I was like, I don't care, I want the pins. It was like a whole 2-hour discussion.
If people have to scroll down, you've lost them. So the bounce rate is important, and we can see with Google Analytics will tell you if you have a high bounce rate.
Can you explain to everybody listening who isn't me what a bounce rate is?
Okay, a bounce rate is when a person comes to your website, how long do they spend there, right? So if it's under 5 seconds, right, which some websites you're going to see 70-80% of the people that come to their site are under 5 seconds. They're bouncing. That means you're doing something wrong, right? They came to you for the wrong reason, or there was an expectation they were looking for and they didn't find it.
That's like when people are like, oh my gosh, this video's got millions of views. How long did they watch the video? Exactly. Majority of them did not watch the video for longer than 5 to 10 seconds.
Right. And the beauty of technology that we can use to our advantage, right? Kind of countering big tech a little bit, who's not very friendly to the pro-life cause, as you know. So there's something called a free paid advertising campaign that Google offers.
Yes, that's right.
Problem is the algorithms are now skewed against us, right? So we know we're not getting the traffic from those free ads. Yeah. So you have paid ads, and those are worth something. That's the other 30%. So an investment for the future for pregnancy clinics is put some money towards paid ads, but get your website top notch, right? So again, we're trying to get there before Planned Parenthood gets there.
Because the websites are not, they're not great.
No, yeah,
they're not. There are a lot of really outdated sites, limited information, and you think about search engine optimization.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have blog posts and relevant information because that keeps it current.
Keeps relevant. And it's not so much for your readers that are going to hear great things. It's so that Google says, hey, that's a website we can kind of put higher on the list, right? So this technology world is, again, not normal for a lot of people who have been in the movement a long time, but we've got to go there because Planned Parenthood's there, right? And then the other way we're going to where the women are is obviously with our university model, right? 15 to 24-year-old women, they're on college campuses. They are the market. And as you know, 8 out of 10 Planned Parenthoods are within walking distance of a college university. So those two worlds of technology and being on college campuses, like our beautiful campus in Gainesville at the University of Florida, I think you've spoken to Pam Stenzel recently. That's where there are 55,000 students, right? 71% of them will stay in Florida. So we're all about impacting the culture of Florida, right? So we have 5 clinics right now and 2 mobile clinics. And we're about 7 or 8 different colleges and universities that we're allowed to have a presence on.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I loved about when I talked with Gary last year, and I thought was so transformational, is that you actually are allowed, you said, allowed to have a presence on. I mean, most pregnancy help organizations that we speak to don't have a good relationship with the college. They can work through a Students for Life group to do advertising and marketing, but they don't have, like you at Florida Gulf Coast, you actually have like an office. Yes,
once a week, and we've just were asked to do 2 days a week. And I have a story to tell you because, it's going to be, it's a huge story, but it's a small story, but it's a huge
All right, give me the story.
All right.
Don't tease
so
anymore.
the Socialist Democratic group connected to the university says on one of their blog posts, we're going to get rid of community pregnancy clinics. We don't want them because they're not for the women, right? Like Planned Parenthood is or something, right? And so what was beautiful about that is I read the comment section, and one of their own participants in the Socialist Democrat student group says, why are we doing this? They're just helping women, as far as I know. And so that's the answer, right? And so I went and spoke to the medical director and just said, hey, is everything okay? And he said, it's okay. Can you do another day? Because they have a need, not just this local university, but all STIs. And that's, so our nurse has our DMS sonographer has an office next to the nurse on campus. And just, we're there to support them because they have a huge need. There's, kids showing up all the time. Like, I didn't know there were 30 STIs. How many can I have, And so we're providing education in a way that, universities are having difficulty doing, and government just simply chooses not to. Right.
You mentioned in terms of where they're at. You said you've got 2 mobile clinics. I want to talk about that because I get asked a lot from folks, supporters who are considering buying a van to give to a local pregnancy center. I get contacted by pregnancy center board members, directors who are considering, do we need to go mobile? And I think it's kind of been billed as like, this is the next wave of, pregnancy help organizations 2.0.
Yeah.
But I don't see it that way. I've seen a lot of very empty vans, let's put it that way, of folks getting vans, doing what would be perceived as the right marketing for the vans, and then not having people come in, women not coming into the vans.
Right.
Are you seeing that? How do you use, you have 2, so you obviously must like the model. How are you using, is it just kind of part of like the feeder?
Yeah. So there's a couple different aspects. I would say the value, right? And then there's a cost, right? The cost value analysis. So the value is, if you save one life, Jewish proverb, you save one life, you save the world, right? Yep. So there's value.
That's what I tell myself when things don't.
Yeah, right.
I know. We were just doing something and it was like, oh, that was $100,000. I know we saved this many lives. So, okay.
Right.
It's great.
It's worth it.
But with the cost value analysis numbers.
Right. So I would say to any potential, system of clinics out there, you've got your office, your brick and mortars, all right, to support those, right? Your mobile clinic can support reaching women in the local areas, maybe in the rural communities that you're just not going to reach. But I think more importantly is like we strategically use them in front of Planned Parenthood. right? So we park right in front, so that sidewalk counselor can say, hey, free ultrasound here. Before you go in there, why don't you get a free ultrasound, right? That's value there, right? Then the other part of that is how many women drive by, see the van, and keep on driving by, right?
That's
because
right.
something stoked their conscience a little bit. So we don't know the full value, but I would say it's an important part of a model. But I wouldn't base, you're going to get a lot of numbers that way. You're going to get a lot of babies saved that way. But one is enough, And then I would say using it around the colleges and universities. Another quick story. Last fall, I decided I wanted to drive the mobile van in the homecoming parade at the University of Florida. I felt like that was my way to really jump in. Oh, it's great. I have pictures. Honking the horn, waving to people. It was great, right? So we're in the parade, homecoming parade. It's a massive amount of people in the local community. Well, as I watch afterwards, the video that's produced by the student union to produce the video to show the homecoming parade, we were cut out of it. The lady who's announcing, the student says, oh, and this is community pregnancy clinics. And she actually says something true. She says, they're here to provide choices. And then it cuts off. And we're left out of that segment, and it goes to the next float behind us. I'm like, how does this see? But this is kind of like they know that van represents something that they don't agree with, that they know we're doing something that they know needs to happen, help women save babies. So it's amazing, though, to think about what we're up against in terms of those college campuses. And that's really where our future is going to be, is to expand to other colleges and campuses around the state.
Thinking about a post-Roe world, is that your best advice to other pregnancy help organization leaders, directors, to think about you talked about technology, the websites? Is it really expanding to campuses, making sure you're on campuses?
I think so, because that's where, again, the market. Planned Parenthood, again, 8 out of 10 Planned Parenthoods are within walking distance of a college or university. Know your enemy. They know their market. So let's get there. Let's get there before they do, or as they do, and with medically accurate information, with real, counseling that's there to help women. So I think that's the future.
I love how you cited a stat that Students for Life determined.
Yes, thank you for that. You guys are doing great research.
It's just become part of the
You're
thing.
doing great
We actually
research.
have to update that, because we were thinking about, because we're like, oh my gosh, it's probably time. And now they've moved. I mean, a lot of clinics have closed. They've opened up new clinics. So I was I was like, oh, it's time to update
do
that.
The research, right?
But I just love it. It was like become something natural. Like, yes, that's common knowledge now in the pro-life movement. So what do you think about, post-Roe, something that we've kind of just broke at Students for Life a few weeks ago was this. Our Abortion Free Cities campaign, we door knock in communities surrounding abortion facilities and pregnancy centers. And we have like a door hanger that we put on doors, and it compares what the pregnancy help organization offers versus the abortion facility, which, I mean, it's always not great. And we always, play up how the pregnancy center is offering these free resources versus the very costly, commitment they have to make if they go into Planned Parenthood for an abortion, whatever, STI testing, STD testing, treatment. But what we found in Austin was that Whole Women's Health, they're the organization that sued, the Texas law. There's a Whole Women's Health, the Hellerstedt decision. They're a chain of abortion, just like they are abortion facilities. Like, that's like their goal. They're not even, they don't care about any, like, that's what they do. In Austin, they're offering all their services for free now.
This is going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And this is a reminder, too. You talk about the abortion industry, right? Most people are thinking Planned Parenthood makes their money off the women coming in off the street. That's a pittance to what they're getting from what I call the unholy alliance of government, university, big pharma, and big tech, right? That's the quadrivium, the 4-part unholy alliance.
I know that was a word, quadrivium.
That's Latin.
Okay, thank you.
It's the quadrivium.
That's a Catholic educator coming out,
I don't know. But so that is where they're getting their money. So they can do things like that. And I'm sure there's a donor behind that. Saying, hey, let's get this, how long is that going to last for? Maybe it's going to last for a few weeks or months or something. Because at the end of the day, as much as chemical abortion, I know you're very well versed on, is the future, because they're getting almost as much money for very low cost, right? No ultrasound, no visit with a doctor, no REMS protocols. they have the cost of the pill, which is very low. But the unfortunate thing is they're still going to do surgical abortions because that's meeting the need of the industry in the fetal parts.
And
distribution.
chemical abortions, 15% of them end up in a surgical abortion
Right.
anyway.
Right, exactly. 1 in 5 women will have complications through hemorrhaging, through partial birth, or infection. And so these numbers are staggering, and they're only going to grow as the chemical abortion industry grows through the death by mail, as we've heard being used. And this idea.
How do you think they're making their money? So, like, is it? I mean, beyond the Warren Buffetts and the donations.
Yeah. For example, I'll give you one example locally, right?
Okay.
Because right across from us is a Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, it's pretty eerie. I hate being next.
Yeah,
to
it's
abortion
dark.
facilities.
It's dark, right? It's it's the modern day Holocaust. So these are the death chambers of Nazi Germany. Who, by the way, I spoke to a German once in Germany, and I asked her, "Did you know when the trains came in? Like she lived in a near Dachau, and I'm like, did you know when the trains came in and they were empty and they left?" And she's like, "We all knew. Everybody knew." But the famous question and I'll never forget it.
This is when you were serving in the army.
When I was serving in the army in Germany, and she said the famous words I'll never forget. She said, "But what could we do?" With a tear in her eye. So that's what we have with Planned Parenthood, who, by the way, is open 2 days a week. No clients come in or out. So why are they open? Because they have to, because they get a government grant for probably $2 to $3 million that requires them to stay open. They're not doing abortions. All those are referred up to Fort Myers.
That's the new mega clinic.
Yeah, the Fort Myers one. So Naples is not doing abortions, but they have to keep the offices open.
Even though no one comes in.
Yeah. There's a couple cars there, and we kind of keep an eye on things. And sometimes people come in and out, but they're not making money there. But they have to stay open because of the government grants. Wow. Isn't that amazing? So that's what we're up against. We're up against an industry that is well-funded, government sanctioned, government supported, and and when you say, well, how are we going to battle that? Where's the hope? Well, the hope is one baby, one mother at a time, one family at a time. As John Paul II said, future of humanity passes through the family. So let's get out there.
And not be like that woman in Dachau that you met.
Yeah, exactly. Or, I love the movie Hacksaw Ridge. I'm a Mel Gibson fan, right? So, Desmond Doss' famous line at the end, where he's kind of going back up the cliff, saving lives, and bringing both sides, enemy and friendly, to safety. And he goes back up the last time and says, "Lord, just give me one more. Just give me one more." So that's what we're about as pregnancy clinics, the mercy model, being there for women. But at the end of the day, the political world, I don't have all that much hope in. But
that's how I want to end this.
Okay.
Is on the politics.
All right.
Because
okay.
I've been here in Florida for a few months. I love Florida. I could spend like all year here.
Come on down.
Be bored. I know.
Yeah, it's great.
I took my son to Ave Maria last year when I spoke there, and he was like, "I like this."
I have a freshman there now. He loves it.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh yes, come on! You want to go to school, Ave Maria? Mama wants a townhouse in Florida." So I was like, "We could rent it; it'd be so cheap." Okay,
Yeah.
So look into Ave Maria. But anyway, it's interesting when you come to Florida, and I was at this event. Governor DeSantis was there. He was getting this big award, and the award is like this it's John Cardinal O'Connor Award, and it's for this pro-life award. And it was like, and Governor DeSantis has promised to sign the most sweeping pro-life legislation ever introduced in Florida. Florida has horrific, and everyone loves Florida. Like, it's a red state, mask free. COVID doesn't exist here. You're free. People love it. Like, it's the saving hope for all Republicans. Like, everyone's like, yeah, Florida. But you guys suck when it comes to your abortion law. I mean, you guys have 24-week abortions. Yeah. One of our former team members, Missy Stone, who now leads Reprotection, I have the honor of mentoring her.
Wonderful lady.
I've had her on, I think, twice now. They have found proof, like written proof, that there are abortion facilities operating here in Florida who are lying on their saying that they have transfer agreements with the hospitals. They don't have. They should be immediately
Health
shut
department
down.
should close them down.
Health department won't shut them down. I mean, like, what is wrong? And then this bill that was introduced in Tallahassee,
15 weeks,
15-week abortion ban, which has some of the biggest exceptions like I've ever seen, more than the standard rape, incest, life of the mother exception, like bigger exceptions than that. There was a heartbeat bill on the table, and we were like, oh, that got killed by pro-life advocates, by the way, and I won't name any names, but I know their names. Like, what is going on with your state?
Yeah, well, this goes back to I'm a huge Governor DeSantis fan, by the way.
And I like Governor DeSantis.
But I think there's got to be some delivery on some promises, right? So we know there's HB5 that's in the House bill right now. There's SB146 that's being put forth, but those are 15-week bans. So I think it's not either or; it's both and, right? So we keep our eye on the ball, which to me is at conception is when all abortion should be illegal. But we take what we can get at this level and we bring them together because we can't stop at 15 weeks.
I know. That's why I was like, why did you kill? Yeah. You could have simultaneously advanced. I hate this concept of we only pass one pro-life bill here a session. Yeah. Which one do you want? Right. Like, why do we at the little kids table and be like, oh, yes, sir, just one like, why couldn't we advance both of them?
I think you call it access politics, right?
Access-based,
Access-based politics.
Oh, yeah, I was lecturing the pregnancy center. There's a real nature of I was like, sorry, all politicians are lazy.
Right. That's why we can't put our hope totally in politics, right? It's going to go back to the culture. It's going to go back to this idea that we have to change hearts, right? It's a heart issue, right? That's what abortion really comes down to, in what I call the Balaam, strategy to kind of undercut a culture. And you've created this industry now that is it's child sacrifice, right? So politics has its place, and we're going to keep our hopes going. That the Texas style heartbeat bill is that 155 days now it's been in play, and how many babies have been saved?
I just did an episode on that.
How wonderful that is. So I'm still hopeful, and I think Governor DeSantis and his team, I think in the end they're going to do the right thing, but we need it soon because if Roe's overturned. And we're stuck in this place for 2 years, you're going to have a lot of disheartened.
Doesn't Florida have the third highest abortion rate in the country?
We are number 3 in the country.
After New York and California. And if you look at, per capita, how many people are moving to Florida, that's only going to grow. Yeah, trust me.
Demographics,
People need to stay in their blue states and stop messing
Let's not be purple.
Yeah, let's not be purple. That literally, it was funny because when I heard Governor DeSantis talk, he was talking about this massive growth and economic growth. And it was actually funny because I've never really heard a governor kind of gently tell people stop moving to my state. He wasn't really plugging the value of moving to the state. Usually Christy Noem's move to South Dakota.
You saw the traffic this morning probably.
Yes, I got stuck in it. So it's crazy, but it is fantastic. But I feel like we've got to do. I mean, I guess you all as a 501c3. But you guys can get up to Tallahassee and be like, this is what we're seeing.
Yeah. Our goal is not to be political, is to support that effort, right? At the same time, we're going to be there for the women day in and day out. But, in fact, we're going to be meeting with Governor DeSantis' aide soon. And just to have those discussions and kind of ask those questions, because I think we need to hold our politicians accountable because we hired them for a reason, and we're a government of the people.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us as pro-lifers to understand that even when we have these great politicians who will stand up for pro-life beliefs in the debate will proudly say they're pro-life, nothing happens in politics without force. And so it's support. You got to be behind them, and you got to be reminding them, and you have to do this, you have to do this, and you have to be that nagging person almost, right? Squeaky wheel getting the grease.
Absolutely.
Even if they're our friends.
Yeah, the vocal minority is just that. It's a vocal minority.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one good thing, I want to make sure people know this, for years it was said that nothing could happen in Florida because of your Supreme Court. And I think Governor DeSantis has changed that with some of his
moving in the right direction.
Appointees to the Supreme Court. So now laws can be passed that then will be upheld. Right. So there is absolutely credit where credit's due on that front.
Exactly.
But okay, come on, man. If you want to be president of the United States, there's more you can do.
Yes.
And I think the pro-life generation demands protection at conception, and we're going to be very clear.
That's the goal.
About that is our goal, and while we can testify and support a 15-week ban, congratulations, you've banned 3 to 5% of all abortions.
Right. Most are happening before 15 weeks.
So there's obviously a lot more that has to be done.
But there's reason to hope, right?
Yeah,
and then
there actually is.
And God works, and we're here to support women doing God's work.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for giving us an update, Scott, on the excellent work of community pregnancy clinics. How can people get more information about what you're doing and check out your awesome website?
Yes,
SEO
the website
optimized.
is going. So we have 2 websites, one that's client-focused and one that's donor-focused, or we call them investors. So our client-focused website is communitypregnancyclinics.com, communitypregnancyclinics.com, and our donor site, investor site is supportcpci.com.
That's awesome. Well, definitely check out CPCI. I know in the past I've been a donor to CPCI. You always sell me when I attend your events for becoming a monthly donor. So I'm really, really excited to see what you all pull off here in Florida, especially with your student university model. And we're honored to partner with you. And thank you for letting me crash your office.
It's an honor. No, thank you. You're always welcome.
Weeks.
You're always welcome, Kristen.
All right. Well, make sure you check out CPCI, Community Pregnancy Clinics in Florida, and make sure you pay attention to what's happening here, because they are truly one of the most innovative pregnancy center organizations I've had the honor to meet and work with over the years. And that's one of, I think, the great perks of what I get to do at Students for Life is I get to meet so many amazing leaders on the ground, and then they just happen to be in a wonderful part of the country as well. So that doesn't hurt. Make sure you subscribe and share this episode, especially with those who you know are in leadership at a pregnancy center organization, and share the episode last February with the former president, Gary, and now president of the foundation, Gary Ingold. Exactly. I think those are two very valuable episodes, especially for those who are involved or considering getting involved in the pregnancy center movement in now and in a post-Roe America. Bye, guys. Hey.